Hey, Shalom, brothers. This is Brother Howard of GMS Toronto coming back with another one. Confusion comes in all forms, and even in this society, even their science-based knowledge can be confusion. Somebody was talking to me about the Eve gene, and when they told me about the Eve gene, they were going to it. They were going into it on the basis that Eve had to be a dark-skinned woman, a black woman, right? Which I agreed with. And then they said that we all came from Eve, which I quickly disagreed with because there were many people back then, right? There was an abundance of people that came out of the waters. It wasn't just Adam and it wasn't just Eve. There wasn't just two people on the planet Earth, right? There was probably millions of people, right? I can't tell you how many people came out of the waters, but there were lots and lots of people, just like there were lots and lots of animals, man, right? And when me and this person were speaking about the Eve, they were talking about it in a way because they thought that the black woman was the one that created all people, right? Which that's not true, right? The Most High created nations, right? The Most High did that, right? That has nothing to do with us and our DNA strand and nothing like that, right? Yes, yes, two so-called black people who are Israelites created Jacob and Esau, right? Yes, that is true. But and also same goes with Ammon and Moab, right? Ammon and Moab were born out of incest, right? Lot and his two daughters, right? That's how Ammon and Moab were created. But I have this presentation here. I'm just going to play it now.
There were many of us back then, living somewhere between Eastern and Southern Africa.
And that's not true either, right? Like the scripture says in Galatians. Let me get that real quick. Let's just prove all things biblically. This is Galatians 4:26. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. Right? So Jerusalem, that is the Fertile Crescent. Right? That's where you have the Garden of Eden. Right? That is the mother of us all. And then we expanded. Right? People went out. People went outwards. Right? Did people go into the land of so-called Africa? Yes, they did. Right? But it all began in the Garden of Eden. And it all began in Jerusalem. That is the mother of us all. Right?
Eve and this small band of people set the stage for us all, one baby at a time.
And that's not true. It wasn't one baby at a time because there were many people living at that time, right? How can we prove that biblically? And this is Genesis 1 verse 20. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life. Right? What's that? That's talking about man as well. Right? Creature. All creatures that hath life. Don't we have life? Are we not creatures? Right? It says, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. Right? Which is talking about the skies. Right? It's not talking about space. Right? And Yahweh said, and God said, and God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Right? So that's when men and women were created. Right? We were created together. Right? Which also destroys the mythology of Eve coming from Adam's actual rib. Right? She never came from Adam's actual rib. She came from his lineage, not his rib. His rib just represents his lineage, right? They were of the same line, right? They were kin. They were close kin.
Set the stage for us all, one baby at a time. Despite all the babies that have come between Eve and Carrie, their DNA is still 99.9% similar. To trace our ancestries, scientists have to pore through the 0.1% that's different, through tiny, random changes to the A's, C's, G's, and T's that accumulate.
And those letters represent the basis of DNA. Right, that's how you get DNA. They're made up of four bases, right? Which is the G represents guanine, the T represents thymine or thymine, and then the A is adrenaline, and the C is cytosine. Right, so those are the four bases of DNA.
In our genetic codes over time. Scientists call them markers.
A marker is a glimpse of a person who lived at some point in the distant past. If you share a marker with someone, you share an ancestor, the person who first had that change in their DNA. And they don't change the way you look or give you a disease or make you better than anyone else. They're just baggage that gets passed on through the generations.
200,000 years ago, the DNA in scientific Eve's mitochondria picked up some of these random changes. An A became a G. Some T's became C's. She unknowingly passed those changes along to her daughters. And her daughters, onto her daughters, down the line over thousands of daughters, to Carrie and every other person on the planet.
My great-grandparents were Ivan and Anna Mukovic. When they came to the States, they changed their name to Mukovitz. So they thought it was easier, Americanized.
Just like a family tree, markers allow us to connect people through history. Since they crop up at a fairly steady rate, markers also serve as a kind of clock to estimate when people lived. And by looking at how markers cluster, they can even act as roadmaps to show us where our ancestors came from and where they moved. Scientists call these different lines of descent haplogroups, and there are hundreds of them. Taken together, they give us a timeline of human migration.
Right. So the Eve gene, for people to understand as well, it refers to animals, right? Not just humans, right? And this video is not to demean the so-called woman or the so-called black woman, right? It's to distinguish the fire of misconception, right? Because in the 1980s, when the concept of the the mitochondrial Eve began, right? The mtDNA, right? The use of the term was a misinterpretation, right? The research was about the most recent common mitochondrial ancestor, or the mtDNA ancestor of all living humans, not about the first human woman ever. That's not what it was about. It wasn't about the first human woman ever. Yes, the woman passes down that mtDNA, right, which is responsible for energy metabolism, right, to power cells, biochemical reactions. That's what it's for. Science of human paleontology, due to the way they measure time by carbon dating, is problematic because carbon dating is not accurate. Scientists have admitted a poor level of standardization in the way mtDNA variation is described in many medical papers. Several inconsistencies and ambiguities exist concerning the designation and interpretations of mutations. Also, poor sequencing makes it difficult to determine haplogroup status when the first mtDNA genomes of humans and mice were sequenced in 1981 by Siv Anderson and colleagues, and David Clayton's group. The two groups used two different definitions of coding DNA strands. In DNA, like I was saying before, you have 4 bases. 2 of them, which is the guanine and the thymine, or the thymine, right, which represents the G and the T, right? There's also the A and the C, but for the G and the T, which is how they distinguish the mtDNA, how they do that, it's when it's ionized in alkaline solution, one becomes denser due to something known as cesium ions, right, which determines high or heavy and low or light strands, right? That's how they determine this mitochondrial Eve gene, right? And to see how it's been handed down from woman to woman, right? Even woman to man. But men don't hand it down. We can't hand down the mtDNA, which, just like I was saying, it's responsible for energy and metabolism, right? To power cells. That's what it's good for. And I'm not saying that's not amazing. That's very amazing and that's good, but it's not enough to say, oh, we're going to worship women, or that creates matriarchy. No, because the seed or your lineage still can only be traced through your father, right? Your lineage still cannot be traced through your mother. You don't get a nationality from your mother. Your mother's nationality is not necessarily your nationality, right? If your mother lays with an Edomite, aka a Caucasian, aka a white man, well, the child, even if the child has darker skin, big lips, curly hair, that child is an Edomite, right? That child is a Caucasian. That child is a white person, right? The mother's DNA, the mother's mitochondrial DNA or the mtDNA doesn't make the child better in any way. So this whole mindset behind the mtDNA, where it has people thinking that this is what makes women gods, is foolishness, right? And black men and women always looking for an opportunity to be worshipped. Like I said, the Eve gene is not a reference to the first woman. There's no such thing, right? It's talking about one of many females, which one of them, like the man was saying, which one of them happened to be the only one who passed down the mtDNA in an unbroken female to female way, right? That's all that it is. And all that it's responsible for is energy metabolism to power cells. That's what it's known for. That's what it does. This is Genesis 5 verse 3. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image, and called his name Seth. And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived 105 years and begat Enos. And Seth lived after he begot Enos 807 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived 90 years and begat Canaan. And Enos lived after he begat Canaan 815 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. And Canaan lived 70 years and begat Mahalalel. And Canaan lived after he begat Mahalalel 840 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And Mahalalel lived 65 years and begat Jared. And Mahalalel lived after he begat Jared 830 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 862 years and begot Enoch. Now, the reason why I'm reading this is because where are all these women coming from? Right? If only Adam and Eve were on the planet, where were all these women coming from? There's an abundance of women, man. Why was there an abundance of women? Because there was many women created, man. Right? It wasn't just Adam and Eve that were created. There was many women created. Lots and lots of women, man. Right? Lots and lots of people were upon the earth, man. Lots of them.
Lupita's results contained something I'd never seen before. When we examined her mitochondrial DNA, the genetic fingerprint passed down from mother to daughter across generations, we found that she carries DNA from the oldest maternal haplogroup, a very ancient branch of the mtDNA tree, just adjacent to what scientists call the mitochondrial Eve, the most recent woman from whom all living humans today descend.
You heard what he said? He said the most recent woman. He never said the oldest woman. The most recent woman.
When mitochondrial Eve was walking around, there were no human beings alive outside of Africa.
That doesn't make any sense. He just said the most recent woman. right? And all they're trying to do, they're just trying to sell you on the Africa, Mother Earth. Africa's the Mother Earth. They're just trying to push that in your brain. Africa is not the Mother Earth. Africa is not the beginning of people, of humanity, right? Humanity came out of the Fertile Crescent, man. It came out of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the mother of us all, man. And there was all types of people on the planet. Yes, those people were people of color. Yes, there were no Caucasian people roaming the earth at that time. The first Caucasian person, natural Caucasian person, was Esau, right? Yes, when the Most High cursed Cain with the mark, that mark was of leprosy, right? Which is what Esau suffers from. But the first clean leopard who was born so was Esau. Okay?
Everybody was black in the whole world.
I predate race.
You predate race.
Foolishness. This is the madness, and this is the woman worship that they want in this world, man. That's why these lessons are so important. They're so vital, because this is serpent talk. This is serpent speech. This is how people can get caught up and slip up, even people who are in the truth, man. Because this is what they're pushing on society. This is what they're pushing on our women. And then our women fall for these things and come home with it. And they bring it home to you. And then you are there debating with a woman about science that has been debunked. Right? Yes, the woman has the mtDNA. Yes, the woman is the one that passes it down from woman to woman, from female to female. Yes, the mtDNA is given from mother to son as well. Yes, a man doesn't pass on the mtDNA, but so what? So what? So what?
Yeah.
That's dope.
See, let's look in the comments and look at the first one. Shayla Ann, you know, that's a so-called black woman. For those of you who didn't get it, yes, all humanity descended from Mother Africa. Like it or not, that's a fact. That's not a... See, this is the confusion, man. This is the confusion. This is the... This is the madness. They are not tracing lineage. This is not what this is. This is the mitochondrial DNA, the mtDNA. And it's not of the first woman that ever lived, because there's no such thing, because there was a multiple of people created all at once. If it wasn't millions, it was billions of people that came out of the sea that the Most High created. Right, through Yahushai and the angels that were with him. Okay, but you know what? I'm not even gonna go into it. I'm just gonna leave it right there, man. These people are bugged out. They're gonna be bugged out, right? And they don't understand that the so-called white man is pushing an agenda. Right, he's pushing an agenda not to only enforce that woman worship, but also to create confusion in the household between men and women. Right, but with that, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the elders and elder apostles of GMS that rule well and that teach well, and to the brothers on the four corners of the earth doing this work in truth and in sincerity. Shalom. Till next time. Kwame Asharallah.